Welcome to The Explainer. So today we are digging into a story about some absolutely staggering costs hidden deep inside this AI boom we're all watching. It's a secret bill, and honestly, it could completely reshape the entire AI arms race. Okay, so when you think about a company like OpenAI, what's the first thing that comes to mind for their biggest cost? It's got to be GPUs, right? You know, those super powerful, energy-guzzling chips that are the brains behind training their amazing models. But what if I told you that one of their most jaw-dropping, absolutely eye-watering bills has nothing to do with hardware? Nope, it's for a single piece of software. Get ready for this. We're talking about an estimated annual spend of $400 million. And that's on just one software vendor, Datadog. I mean, a number that big is just so massive it's almost hard to believe. All right, let's really dive into this because a number like that, it needs some serious explaining. We're not just talking about a big bill here. This is the kind of expense that completely redefines a category, that shakes up an entire industry. I mean, just to put this into perspective for you, even for the absolute giants, like Amazon Web Services, having a billion-dollar-a-year customer is basically the holy grail. So for a single software contract to be getting close to half of that, it's completely unheard of. And look, this isn't just about the money. You have to think about the AI arms race, which is incredibly high stakes. Every single dollar that gets spent on this monitoring software is a dollar that's not being spent on buying more GPUs. It's a dollar not spent on making things faster for customers or funding that core, groundbreaking research. It's basically a massive anchor slowing them down. So how in the world did this bill get so huge? To figure that out, we've got to peek under the hood and see what OpenAI is actually paying for. What they're paying for is something called observability. Now, the easiest way to think about this is it's the digital eyes and ears for their entire system. It's all the dashboards and alerts that tell their engineers if everything is running perfectly or, if something is completely on fire. So when you hear that, what do you think costs so much? You'd probably guess it's storing all those massive text files, right? The logs of everything that happens. Well, the reality is pretty surprising. Okay, check out this breakdown. The really shocking part is that metrics, which are basically just simple numerical data points, make up a whopping 70% of the total cost. 70%. The logs and traces, they're just a small piece of the pie in comparison. So why is that? Well, it comes down to a technical term called high cardinality. Here's a way to think about it. Imagine trying to track every single version of the ChatGPT app across millions and millions of individual users. The number of unique combinations you have to track just explodes. It goes up exponentially. And tracking that, well, to put it bluntly, it's just incredibly expensive. So, you've got this bill that is just growing parabolically. I mean, it's shooting straight up. OpenAI isn't just going to sit back and take it. No way. They are secretly, and I bet furiously, building an escape route. And their strategy is a pretty radical shift. The plan is to move away from Datadog's expensive, closed-off, all-in-one system and move towards a flexible, much more cost-effective open-source setup. We're talking about tools like Grafana and OpenTelemetry. The bottom line is, they want to build and own a system that they control completely. But of course, an escape like this is way easier said than done. Sure, moving their logs, that's the 20% chunk of the bill. That's relatively quick, maybe a month or two. But rebuilding that incredibly complex metric system, the one that's 70% of the cost, that is a huge engineering challenge. We're talking 6, 8, maybe even more months of work. Okay, so this high-stakes migration, this escape plan, it's not happening in a vacuum. A new clue has just popped up, and it adds a really fascinating new twist to this whole drama. So while OpenAI's engineers are working like crazy to build their own system, a new business deal has come to light, and it gives us a really important hint about how they're doing, or maybe how they're not doing. It turns out they've recently signed on as a customer with a company called Chronosphere. And what does Chronosphere do, you ask? Well, it provides a hosted, managed platform for the exact same open source tools that OpenAI is trying to build for themselves. Interesting, right? So this move tells us two really important things. First, it absolutely confirms that they are 100% committed to getting out of the Datadog ecosystem. But second, it really suggests that their internal project is struggling. I mean, they're bringing in outside help, which is a big deal. It's a sign of both their determination to get out and how difficult that escape actually is. Which brings us to the final act of the story. You have OpenAI caught between this exploding bill on one side and a really difficult escape plan on the other. So the big question is, where does this massive number go from here? Well, experts see this high-stakes game playing out in one of three ways. Scenario 1. The spending just keeps skyrocketing, heading towards an almost unthinkable $1 billion a year. Scenario 2. They get really serious about optimizing things, they cut back, and they manage to slow down that growth curve. Or, Scenario 3, the great escape plan actually works. They pull it off, and those costs finally start to bend back down. Now, if you are a betting person, the odds seem to be on that second scenario. The thinking is that OpenAI will fight like hell to control the costs and slow down that insane growth. But the bill, it's probably going to keep climbing until that in-house platform is finally ready to take over. And that leaves us with a really critical question, doesn't it? As this battle for AI dominance just rages on, we're always focused on who has the best models or who has the most GPUs. But maybe, just maybe, the real winner in all of this won't be who's best at building AI, but who can avoid being eaten alive by the hidden, crushing costs of their own success.